Three secrets from beyond time. Science falls silent. We think we know history, yet we are the ones who placed events into dates, established rules, and thought we had explained everything. But there are certain findings that shatter this carefully woven story to pieces. As if someone comes and whispers in our ear, "Everything was not as you thought." And we, not knowing what to do, fall into silence. Antikythera mechanism. A computer from beyond time. In 1901, Greek sponge divers are caught in an unexpected storm off the coast of Antikythera Island. Where they take shelter, they decide to dive to pass the time. And there, at the bottom of the sea, they find perhaps history's most astonishing secret: a rusty, shapeless pile of bronze. At first, no one pays attention. This junk thrown into the museum courtyard is forgotten for years, until the wooden parts dry out and fall off. What emerges from within is a miracle that shakes our understanding of history. A complex mechanism consisting of dozens of precise gears. This approximately 2,000-year-old machine is actually a computer. It can calculate the positions of the Sun and Moon, the movements of Mars, Venus, and Jupiter. Its most astounding aspect is that it can even calculate the speed variations in the Moon's elliptical orbit. For this, a system of gears with offset centers was used. European masters could only discover this technique in the 17th century. The existence of such a device is considered impossible, because to make gears with this precision requires lathes, measuring instruments with micrometer accuracy, and most importantly, mechanical knowledge that is never encountered in the books of that period. Were the hands that made this device the last representatives of a forgotten science? Or are we not even aware of a massive accumulation of knowledge lost somewhere in history? Question marks multiply. Why did this technology disappear? Who was using this? And most importantly, if there was a civilization that could build such a thing in that period, what else could they do? Piri Reis map, the secret beneath the ice. In 1513, Turkish admiral Piri Reis draws a world map. But this is not an ordinary map. He himself notes in the margin of the map, "I did not measure these. I copied them from very ancient maps," some dating back to the time of Alexander. When modern scientists examine this map, their breath is taken away. Because there, at the very bottom, is a landmass that should not be there: Antarctica. Antarctica's official discovery takes place in 1820, exactly 3 centuries after Piri Reis's map. But something even stranger. Antarctica is drawn without ice on the map, with its rivers, mountain ranges, and valleys. In the mid-20th century, when scientists managed to look beneath Antarctica's kilometer-thick ice sheet with seismic waves, they are horrified. Because beneath the ice lies exactly the geography that Piri Reis drew. Mountains in the same places, riverbeds along the same routes. Geologists say Antarctica has been covered with ice for at least 6,000 years, perhaps much longer. So then, who, when, and how drew this map? Should we think that while humanity was still building pyramids in that period, someone went to the South Pole and created detailed maps? There is another oddity: the map's projection technique. This is a drawing, as if looking at Earth from space, from above Cairo. The distortion rates of the continents match perfectly with today's satellite images. How did they achieve this without airplanes and satellites? And the most disturbing question: if these maps are really that old, was there a civilization we forgot? Long before us, perhaps even more advanced than us? The mysterious intervention in human DNA. Sometimes the greatest secrets are not outside, but within us. Human DNA is the least discussed, but perhaps most disturbing puzzle. We share 98% of the same genes with chimpanzees, only a 2% difference. But this 2% transforms us from a monkey sitting on a branch into a being that goes to the moon, composes symphonies, and splits atoms. 200,000 years ago, something strange happens to our ancestors. Their brains triple in size, a lightning-fast change by evolutionary standards. Normally, such radical anatomical changes take millions of years. But here, it's as if a switch was flipped. Geneticists discovered accelerated development regions in human DNA. These regions have remained almost unchanged in all mammals, from mice to chimpanzees, for millions of years. But in humans, these regions have mutated at an incredible speed. For example, the HAR1 region. There is only a 2-letter difference between chicken and chimpanzee, despite 300 million years between them. Whereas between chimpanzee and human, despite only a 6 million year separation, there is a full 118-letter difference. This is mathematically almost impossible, as if someone went into the code and specifically rewrote certain sections. Another anomaly. Humans have 23 pairs of chromosomes. All other great apes have 24. Where is the missing chromosome? The answer is even stranger. Our second chromosome was formed from the fusion of 2 separate monkey chromosomes. And this fusion occurred so cleanly, so perfectly, that unnecessary parts were disabled, while necessary ones remained active. The random occurrence of such a fusion and the creation of an individual successful enough to become the ancestor of all humanity is statistically almost zero. Even Nobel laureate Francis Crick, one of the discoverers of DNA, said toward the end of his life, "Our genetic code is so complex and perfect that it is difficult to believe it formed spontaneously under primitive Earth conditions." The story told in Sumerian tablets surprisingly reflects these scientific findings. The Anunnaki, called those who descended from the sky, create humans by combining their own DNA with that of earthly primates. It is tried repeatedly. Many failed specimens are produced. Finally, the desired result is achieved. We can read this as symbolic language, of course. But what if it's not? What if these are really records of a very ancient intervention, an encrypted science? Conclusion. These 3 findings, the computer from the bottom of the sea, the impossible map, and the genetic anomaly within us, whisper something to us. History is not a straight line. What we're living is not a simple ascent story, progressing from caves to the space age. Perhaps history is cyclical, perhaps full of rises and falls. Perhaps there were others before us, perhaps more knowledgeable, perhaps more advanced. And perhaps there was a catastrophe, perhaps a war, perhaps a natural disaster. And everything was erased, forgotten. We are now rebuilding from scratch on those remains. Sometimes while digging, we find things we don't understand, can't explain. Like the ANTIKYTHERA mechanism, like the Piri race map, like our own DNA. So what does science do? Most of the time it ignores them, because these findings require rewriting the entire story. And this is too laborious, too frightening. But the truth stands there, in museums, in genetic laboratories, in ancient maps, looking at us and waiting. Perhaps true wisdom begins with giving up saying, "We know everything." Perhaps we should humbly acknowledge, in the past, things may have happened that we cannot even imagine. And the day we can open that door, perhaps we will begin to discover our true history.